John, thanks for joining us on Groundcover TV. 3 months into the job, you've got your feet firmly under the desk now. How's it been so far?
Oh, look, it's been fantastic. Everything that I expected. It's been absolutely, exciting. It's a great organisation to be in. And Daryl, to be honest, no real surprises. As you know, I've been with GRDC about 14 years, and over the last 6 years worked very closely with the previous Managing Director, Peter Redding. And so I guess I had a fair feel for what it was going to be like. And I guess the key things that I've been doing over the last 3 months is really looking at where the organisation's at and where we take it. And we're at that point in time where we're developing up our next 5-year plan, and we need to have that to the Minister early next year. So the key thing I'm looking at is how do we take GRDC to that next level? What are the key things? And of course, an important part of that is the portfolio and how we invest. I mean, this year we've invested around about $140 million in R&D. It's absolutely critical we get that money focused on the issues that are going to give the best return to growers and improve their profitability. And I guess that's the challenge for me going forward, is how do we make sure we really do focus that portfolio on the important things.
Do you need to do anything differently to make sure that you do that even better than you've done before?
Look, absolutely. Firstly, I'll just start by saying a couple of things that we'll do the same. And one of the things we'll do the same is really focusing on implementing the National RD&E plan, which was developed in consultation with the states, which is all about making sure that we don't have duplication and fragmentation, that we are really utilising all of the resources available for R&D as effectively as we possibly can. But some of the things where I'd like to put more emphasis, and probably the number one is really making sure growers see the benefit of R&D. GRDC has been around 20 years, and we've spent a lot of growers' money on R&D. It's absolutely critical that we start packaging up that research, the research that we've done in the past, the research that we're currently doing, and making sure that we're delivering it in a way that's relevant to growers so that they can use that information, they can use those new varieties, they can use those new practices to actually improve their business performance and improve their profitability.
So does that signal that GRDC is going to become extension central?
I'm not so sure about focused only on extension. I mean, we still have to, we've got a broad portfolio, and we have to make sure that we're covering the important things that will make the difference. Over the last 5 or 6 years, we've put a lot of emphasis on building national programs, and I guess the challenge now is to make sure every single one of those national programs, be it a national pre-breeding project looking at new genetics, make sure every one of those is actually delivering regionally to farmers in their local areas. There's no such thing as a national farm. Every farmer farms in a particular region. And so it means that we've got to customise the research that comes out of these national programs to be relevant to a farmer that's in Narrabri or a farmer over in Geraldton in West Australia. And also making sure those regions really are inputting to those national priorities. And I guess that's another challenge, I think, and something that I hope we can really put some emphasis on, is ensuring that growers really have a definite role in that priority setting, have influence, and also find out the consequences of their discussions around setting priorities. Now, clearly in that process, our regional panels are particularly important, but I think we can actually go down to even more to a more local level in terms of how we engage with growers to make sure that they have input into the priority setting process.
It sounds like, though, there will be a greater emphasis in GRDC's investment on extension.
I think that is important. I think there will be more emphasis on delivery and making sure that the outcomes of research are actually delivered to growers. Now, that may be through extension services, but increasingly we know that growers are using paid agronomists and advisors to help them with their farming practices and their business management. And I think it's equally as important that we feed into that network the outcomes of the research portfolio.
Now, while Australia makes a significant investment of its own in grains R&D, as a proportion of the global investment, we're fairly small. How do we make sure that we're linked in to what's happening globally?
Daryl, you're absolutely right. We do about 2% of the world's R&D that relates to the grains industry. We know, for example, 6 large biotech companies are spending over $5 billion a year on doing research into improving crops. It is important that we are well linked in internationally and that we've got that global reach, not just with the private sector, but also with the public sector. And it's certainly something which I would like to see us I will be making sure we put more emphasis on, is that we do have those global links. We do know what's happening in those countries overseas, and that we're doing our little bit and collaborating with international organisations that are working on issues that are relevant to Australian growers.
But how do you make sure that's happening?
Look, a lot of it is about having the networks, and one of the most important networks is our research community. A lot of our researchers are out there. They are talking to their counterparts in other countries, and we need to be able to tap into that. But look, increasingly we also, as an organisation, need to be out there and talking to companies overseas, talking to organisations like CIMMYT in Mexico, where we've got the International Wheat and Maize Improvement Centre, making sure that what they're doing there on a global scale is feeding into Australia. Also in India, where we've got the International Centre for Arid Agriculture based at Hyderabad. It's very important that we are seeing what research they're doing, and we're making sure it's linked back into our pulse breeding programs here in Australia.
Yeah, CIMMYT's a fabulous place, very inspiring. I got to go there in 1989 doing some work for GRDC, and it's just amazing.
The role that CIMMYT plays is almost like a global facilitator in the wheat breeding world. It has fantastic links into a whole range of developed and developing countries. And also they've got this enormous network of being able to access germplasm from all over the world. So in some ways it is a hub. For some of the wheat researchers and wheat breeders, it's almost a mecca. But you know you can go there and you're going to see the best of the best germplasm that's come out of the national programs. And they're there to build those networks which are important for solving problems like, for example, rust and UG99, which is of course a threat to all of wheat growing in the world.
John Harvey, thanks once again for joining us on Groundcover TV.
My pleasure.